superior vena cava right here. Okay, I'm lifting it with the probe. This transected first branch coming into the superior vena cava is your thoracic. You see the other portion here. That supplies the thoracic wall, and you have right and left. This is the left transected, right transected. All right, so you continue up. This is the superior vena cava. You get a bifurcation, and the bifurcation gives up your brachiocephalic. From the brachiocephalic veins, right and left, you will get your branches given up subclavian, this will be your external jugular, and you'll see continuing on down, your subclavian will become your axillary in the region of the axilla. It will go on to become your brachial in the region of the brachial arm, the muscle, biceps brachii, and it will bifurcate into your radial and ulnar veins on this passage. Okay? It will bifurcate. All right, so it also runs with the arterial system. So if we come back to it, the right side is the same as the left. So you have your vena cava, superior vena cava, your brachiocephalic veins branching into your subclavian, your external jugular, which will bifurcate into your internal and external, your jugular vein, which will bifurcate into your internal and external jugular.
Right.
All right? In the cat, the external jugular is greater.
Right.
The internal drains into the external. Internal drains the brain and the orbits. External drains the facial and head.
Right.
All right. Running with it is your arterial system. And if we go back to the heart, find the aortic arch or the ascending aorta, which may sometimes be difficult, but if we have pericardium here still intact, let's see if I can cultivate a little bit more of it. Open it up some. And ascending aorta, aortic arch curving around, giving up branches. And we could have dissected out a little more again, but you're going to have this larger branch, which is your brachiocephalic. And on the left side, a smaller vessel, which is just simply your subclavian. Okay, that's your subclavian artery. So on the right, you have your brachiocephalic, which will give you your subclavian branch and your carotid. Your right carotid. On the left side, you will have your left carotid, and they both straddle the trachea, and deep to the trachea is your esophagus. These are your common carotids. They will continue on into the neck and divide or bifurcate into internal and external carotids. It's not well visualized here, but Your internal carotids will supply the brain and the orbits, and your external carotids will supply the facial and skull region. Okay? All right. So that's important to note, that the right on the arterial side is somewhat slightly different than the venous side. The venous side gives you the superior vena cava, giving a right and a left brachiocephalic vein. On the arterial side, you have a larger brachiocephalic on the right, and on the left you have the subclavian artery. Okay? All right. You're good with the other structures? All right. The abdominal aorta, as the arch comes around, the aorta right here, this has a lot of pericardium still attached, so you don't well visualize it. It will penetrate the diaphragm and continue on deep to these organs. And you'll see it here. This is the abdominal aorta. This is the diaphragmatic hiatus, where it goes through the diaphragm, leaving the thoracic. It's the thoracic aorta here. Once it goes through the hiatus, the diaphragm, comes out, it's now the abdominal aorta. And it's going to give up its first branch, which I don't know if we can visualize it. It's the celiac artery. And it will supply your gastric, hepatic, and splenic branches. The celiac trunk. It will continue on down, and then you will get another branch. The second branch is the superior mesenteric. Again, not well visualized here. It is on some of the other specimens. But the second branch is the superior mesenteric, will supply the intestines and other superior viscera in the abdominal cavity. The third branches are the renal arteries, which you see entering at the renal hilum, along with the vein. The vein is quite prominent. The arteries always run with it, so you can see it on this one a little better. Renal artery, renal vein. This is the third branch of the abdominal aorta, descending aorta. Then you see some of these smaller branches transected. You see that? And this. The next branch you will talk about will supply your gonads. So these may be gonadal branches. And the last branch that we will talk about before bifurcation is the inferior mesenteric, which you see going directly into the large intestines. You see that? As you proceed down, then you see that the abdominal aorta bifurcates at this level. That's the bifurcation into the common iliac arteries. And the common iliacs continue on through the pelvic area, leaving the pelvis into the femoral area and becoming bifurcated again into your internal and external iliac arteries. The internal just supplies the local area, whereas the external continues on and bifurcates. It becomes the popliteal. It becomes the popliteal at the back of the joint. At that point, It then bifurcates into the anterior and posterior tibial. Joining the femoral veins at that point is also the great saphenous vein, which drains into the femoral vein. The arterial supply runs with the venous supply. So just like you have, this is the
left iliac.
This is the common iliac, and you see a bifurcation right here. And this will give you an internal, external, and internal iliac arteries. Okay, you have it on both sides. The internal just supplies locally. The external goes on and becomes the
You
popliteal.
have the internal left
Yeah.
and the internal right.
And external left, external right.
So
Right. And the femoral, well, the external is the more important one. It goes on to become the popliteal, and it bifurcates into the